This is your certified divorce coach here to give you some soothing sights of lawn care and lawn mowing because I personally find that so satisfying. I thought you might want to watch that. So we are watching Blade Mate Lawn Care. I got this video online and I find it very soothing. So we're going to watch that while I teach this 12-minute and 35-second topic on creating change in your life. So this is very similar to the storm that is grief. And this is what happens when you're in a relationship and you start thinking that some things are not acceptable. So as you can see, I've got the picture of the storm there, or the spiral, because I want you to understand that these are steps that you go back and forth and jump around and all over the place. And it also really helps to understand that this is the same thing that your spouse is going through in their head once they realize there's a problem, if they're willing to admit it. I mean, much of the time, you're probably with someone who is in denial, sometimes in bargaining, a lot of times in anger, and then back to denial. So I want to talk about this process because this, over the last 5 years, has really helped a lot of my clients to understand that there's going to be a time where they don't have all the answers and that that's okay. You're not starting at zero if you're ending a relationship. You're starting at wisdom. That's one of the really powerful things I heard someone say. You know, you're not going back to the beginning of the relationship when you were younger and inexperienced and, you know, before children or before life hardships taught you things. You're not going back to that. You're making a change in your life that's starting with an older, wiser, more experienced you. Okay? So when you have a certified divorce coach like I am, I help you walk the path of these things, and I help you look back and see what has happened in your life and what is happening, and that helps you make decisions, make your own personal decisions for what's going to happen in the future, because you are the author of your future. Okay? So, the 6 steps of creating change in your life, if you look back within your relationship, you'll remember a time when you saw a problem and you basically just denied it. You put it out of your mind. You said, I've created this situation. I'm going to live with it. I just won't look at that. I won't see that as a red flag. I'll just be in denial. Everything's fine. That kind of thought process. And that works for sometimes decades, years and years and years and years. But then eventually you start bargaining. You make deals with yourself like, okay, maybe I'll be home less, or maybe I'll go to bed at a different time to make him or her happy, or maybe I'll do all the chores, or maybe I'll spend more time at the gym, or maybe I'll drink less alcohol, or maybe I'll start with alcohol, or something that helps you to deal with the problems that you're seeing. And then it's possible you could bargain for a while and then back to denial, because it's a lot more comfortable not to have to deal with it, not to have to change it. And you'll see these things in your partner too. When you work toward making change, you'll see them start to go through these. No, there's no problem. Nope, there's no problem. My problem. It's not my problem. It's your problem. And then, okay, well, bargaining. Let's go for some couples counseling. I'll stop drinking. Let's stop going out. I'll stop going out with my buddies, or I'll change my job, or whatever bargaining. So then the third step is anger. Now, anger is the step we jump to sometimes when nothing else is working. It's just anger. And it's scary, especially if you are afraid of people's temper or afraid of conflict. And I want you to remember that with anger passes too, because it's one of these steps in this storm, okay? So if your spouse is spending a lot of time in anger or criticizing you or blaming or being in denial, we don't have any problems, this is just the way marriage is, or, I'll go out and make more money, I'll get another job, that's bargaining, that kind of thing. And then anger will come. But as you as your partner and as you did when you look back, the anger dissipates when anger doesn't work to change anything, and it turns to number 4, which is sadness. So then you're just sad about the realities of the way things are. And sadness is an important step because it is an acknowledgement that being angry and bargaining and denying is not the solution. So sadness is actually when you are in sadness, and a lot of times that feels like guilt, self-blame, and worry, then you are on the path to making a positive change in your life. So let's not see sadness and guilt as an awful thing to feel. Let's feel it, and let's understand that it is an important step toward something better. Okay? Which is number 5, acceptance. You'll start to notice that you're in acceptance more often of the time. Like, something's got to change. I've now experienced this. Some people have gone through these patterns, these steps for years and years and years and years and years, and they're realizing that it is what it is. And they're spending more and more time in acceptance. That's when 3/4 of my clients call me, when they just say, I can feel it. Something's got to change. All these other things aren't working to create change, so I need to do something different. Can I talk with you and learn about the possible paths ahead? And can I really get my head around what it would look like to accept the situation and start to make a change for the better? Then you'll see that I have 3 dots. And sometimes those 3 dots, which I call limbo, can be a matter of years. And I'm not saying that you're going to be stuck in your problems for a number of years. I'm saying it's going to be a number of years until it feels like your new normal. So don't worry about that limbo as much. The important part is when you get to acceptance and you start to make a change, then that's when you start to take steps, putting one foot in the front of the other to create some changes. Maybe you write a letter and ask your spouse for a separation. Maybe you start looking at what other places are out there or what the value is of your home. Maybe you start thinking about what your life would be like. Maybe you start thinking about how where your kids are going to go to school or their post-secondary education or how you would work this. You just think about these things, all the different avenues of what's in front of you, because really your options are wide open. You are your own separate person, and you get to make decisions in your life about what's acceptable to you. And that's why a lot of people who create these changes are so excited to see the silver linings of these changes. Like, the kids are experiencing less conflict. The kids are once you're not living together, or you are living together but not spending time together, they're experiencing the best part of each parent. They're not experiencing the conflict. They're not experiencing the uncertainty. They're not experiencing the anger and blame and trauma that comes from fighting parents. And so even just asking yourself this question and working with a divorce coach or your therapist or maybe even your lawyer, although that's terribly expensive, about what decisions you want to make is an important step toward creating this new normal, even though it will take time. And sometimes you'll be right back into denial or bargaining, or maybe this was my imagination, or maybe I was blowing it out of proportion, or maybe it is my fault and not their fault, or this storm. Keep in mind this storm, this picture of the storm that is right there. Keep in mind that that's really powerful, and that as you get through this, you'll spend more and more time in acceptance. Then you'll start taking the steps going forward. At any time you can change your mind, or we can work together to be more creative about how you'd like to do it. There is actually even a couple in my city who built a house that had 2 separate sides, one for mom, one for dad. and the middle part was for the kids. And on Mom's week, her door was open, and on Dad's week, his door was open. So there's a lot of creative ways to deal with this and create a new normal. But yes, it does take two mature people. And if you're with somebody now who you don't foresee as being mature, then you can handle that too. You can handle whatever's coming. Okay? So I hope now you understand all these steps that you've gone through. I'd like you to also think about how many years it took you to get to the point you're at. And if your spouse was in denial most of the time, and you have just recently asked for a separation or some time apart, that person has to go through all of these steps around and all over the place, and it's going to be very emotional. And I'm here to help settle your mind about what it is they're going through, because in essence, they have to catch up. And their behaviors are their responsibility going forward, and they'll be learning. It's a big learning curve. You learn from your lawyer. Oh, that's what the rights are. That's what my rights are. That's what my partner's rights are. That's what the children. Oh my goodness, learning all this stuff, learning about co-parenting and what things are going to cost and what decisions they're going to make. But I can assure you from my over 230 clients that I've helped, that the end is going to be better than it is now. And I will help you get there. All the decisions are yours. You're in the driver's seat. And this really helps you see that you are the author of what it is you create. You will see silver linings. Your kids might be relieved. Your family might be relieved. Your work life might say, wow, you're different now. Your friends might say, oh, there you are again. And you will take it one step at a time, because you are a big, capable, strong bird. And if you happen to land on a little twig on the top of the tree, the reason you know you can land there, if you've ever seen those birds around your city, the reason she knows she can land there up in the tippy top of the tree on the twig is because she knows if that twig breaks, that she can fly. She believes in her wings. So call me for help in even just venting, talking, predicting, and I will be there for you. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.